Meeting of the Water Pollution Control Authority come to order. First, I'm asking for approval of the minutes of the WPCA for April 24th,
Madam Chairman,
2017.
I move approval of the minutes for April 24th.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Chase and seconded by Phil Young to approve the minutes of the 24th. Now we'll have the reports from Mr. Hyde.
Well, we have to approve, we have to vote on the minutes, the approval of the minutes.
Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I should say, are there any corrections? Because
Yeah.
that's the difference.
I don't see any.
Okay.
Chairman,
Moving right along, yes.
could we take an item out of order? It's the last item on the agenda. There's a couple of guests to make testimony.
Second,
Sure.
we have to vote to take it out of order.
Okay.
Are you making a motion?
Made a motion.
I second.
Take it out of order.
Vote.
Okay. And the item is approval of connection request 335 Ferry Boulevard. I do believe that Mr. Casey has some commentary on that.
We have to vote to take it out of order.
I thought we did.
No, we just motioned.
I've got to stop taking this medication. Anyway,
It's okay, Mitzi, it was a rough week.
all those in favor, take it out of order.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to send a bill to the
Okay.
town attorney's
All right. And the motion is to approve the connection request for 335 Ferry Boulevard. And I'd like to call on Mr. Casey because he has some insights into this particular request.
Yes, we did receive a request for the 71-unit apartment development on Ferry Boulevard at 335 Ferry Boulevard. The projected contribution and additional average daily sewage flow is 9,780 gallons per day. And we had that reviewed by our consultant who's doing the I&I study, and as well as Mr. Hyde, and we feel that there is sufficient capacity in the trunk line that they would be connecting to accept that additional flow.
Okay. So is there a motion to accept the connection request for 335 Boulevard?
Madam Chair, I have another question. Can we talk about this yet, or did we just motion to take it off?
We took it off the table, and then I requested that Mr. Casey give his input, but we haven't made a motion to approve the connection request.
I'll make that motion as long as we can have, there's discussion.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Manis to approve the connection request for 335 Ferry Boulevard, second by Mr. Khan. Is there any discussion?
Through you, Madam Chairman, to Mr. Casey, is this the, we talk about the old hotel? Is that what this property is?
No, this is on the corner of Ferry Boulevard and East Broadway. Currently, there's some construction offices there.
I know where it is.
It's a Salsey property.
Salsa Properties.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Are there any other, Mr. Khan?
Yes, thank you. For Mr. Casey, what would be our approximate total capacity? The low-end value, maybe. This is the safety.
Total capacity, see, that's where, it kind of gets complicated, but we have the capacity of the treatment plant, we have the capacity of the main trunk sewer, we have the capacity of various trunk sewers throughout the system. So what we did was we looked at the capacity of this trunk sewer. It's a type of review that we provided the other two facilities that were approved in the transit-oriented district. And the capacity of the trunk sewer sufficient to handle this development.
There's other development planned for that same trunk sewer, possibly. How much more flow capacity would we have in that particular trunk?
Well, I can say that our consultant is continuing to work on the capacity study, which we don't have yet in place.
Okay.
What they did do is they did some hand calculations based on the flows that they had monitored and the slope of the pipe and the size of the pipe and all that. They calculated what the capacity is. So if you want an exact number, just give me a second to pull some of that out.
Exact is not necessary. It was more that.
That's why I use the word sufficient.
You recommend, that there is sufficient, and you'd recommend that we proceed with that connection.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Young?
Madam Chair, point of clarification to our town attorney, our representative thereof. Do we as a council need to be approving this, or is this should go through planning and zoning and not that whole route?
I think I could answer that if you don't mind, but I could turn it over to Alex to help me out. But this already did go through planning and zoning. It's already been approved. So the reason why we're bringing this to you is because it's a connection that is different than what was in place. Zoning was different than it was in place when we did our facility plan study in 2001. So in the area of the TOD where you're having more dense development than originally planned on, we're bringing those developments to you, to the authority for approval.
Are there any questions? Ms. Manis?
A point of clarification for the town attorney. Back when this was before the zoning commission, I spoke and asked questions regarding parking. I expressed concern regarding the abatements that'll be happening in the Ferry Boulevard area and whether I thought that it was a viable project with regards to those things. With that being said, I believe that I have to recuse myself from this vote, and in doing so, I'm not sure if there are others that have to recuse themselves as well, if they've kind of spoken, and whether or not there's even a quorum to vote on this, if that happens.
Could Ms. Manis repeat her concern again? I'm not sure.
Yes,
Sure.
I wasn't sure
My
either.
concern is that at a zoning meeting, I spoke with regards to this project and the abatements that are going to be happening with regards to Raymark in the coming time. In addition, the parking issue that was addressed on this property and the just various concerns with it when it was being approved in zoning, and that was done on record. So knowing that there has been spoken something on record, I'm just clarifying with the town attorney, am I even permitted to vote on this?
I mean, you spoke against it when it was in front of the zoning commission, or you expressed
I
concerns?
expressed concerns, and
regards
I
to
believe
parking?
it's in the minutes that it was against because that's how it's recorded for against. You can't be recorded any other way.
Clearly you don't have any sort of financial interest in this project, and those concerns you expressed at the zoning commission are clearly much different. Apples and oranges compared to what you're being asked to consider now, which is the sewer connection. At first blush, I don't think, just having you ask me this question right now, I don't think there's really a reason for you to have to recuse yourself.
Okay.
Right now. I mean, obviously, you had issues with parking, and that was in front of the zoning commission. And now you are here as your official capacity as a member of the WPCA. If you feel as though you can't keep an open mind as to this application, then I would ask you to recuse yourself. But if you feel like you can view this application with an open mind, I don't see why you would have to.
I just wanted to express that publicly because that's important.
Thank
so
you.
as long as I have the town attorneys.
You're asking about, you're being asked to approve a sewer connection, apples and oranges as compared to your concerns with
Just
parking.
want it on record.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right, by now I've forgotten whether somebody made a motion to approve. You made the motion to approve, Tina? And
So,
who seconded?
Greg.
Greg seconded,
can I
okay.
ask one
Are there
more-
any other
Can I ask
questions?
one more question? I know I'm out of turn. I asked my one question, but if I can ask a question specifically about the project. The II and all of that you're using to base this, I know that the sewer and the rainwater are separate. However, the II measured both. My question is I know that there's stuff with runoff with regards to this project. Has that all been addressed in the plans? Because I know that there's not much ground there it's all pavement. So is there going to be new kind of stuff going on with that? Will it impact the II at all?
Yes, it will not impact the I&I In fact, if anything, it would help to some extent because we'll have all new sewer connections and all new plumbing from what exists today. So it'll be all new and modern and tight. The stormwater plan was part of the zoning application, and they designed the stormwater plan, in accordance with the requirements of the Inland Wetland Commission, and I forget if the DEP was involved with that because there was, that part of the stream is quasi-tidal, but I know that they satisfied all the requirements for that, for the
Thank you.
stormwater design.
Are there any other questions? Or if not, we'll ready to take a vote?
Roll call.
Okay.
Are there any other people with testimony that were here? Mr. Can, you mentioned.
Mr. Posner?
I'm all set.
Oh,
Farrington?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Pass for a moment. Let me think about this now.
Yes.
yes.
Mr. Jace?
No.
Chair votes yes. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 yeses. Approve the connection request.
Madam Speaker, if
is
I
it
may,
fail?
point of order.
Yes.
I need
Um,
6.
Before I move to reconsider my vote, could Mr. Posner explain his concern why he voted no on this?
Sure. Through the chair. I was on the zoning commission when this was brought in front of me. I did vote on it back then. I voted no on it back then. I did not feel that this apartment building was suitable for that location. Did not believe that it had suitable parking. Also, I felt the density was too high in this apartment building, especially with the proposed 119-unit apartment building going across the street that can affect the sewer system, which you had mentioned that there's going to be a report, but it's not done yet, correct? There's a study being done?
Our town-wide report is not done yet, but we did get the opinion of our engineer that did say that there was sufficient capacity for this development.
So with that said, once I see the report, and then I maybe can possibly make a decision again if this is to come back. Also, but at this time, I didn't support it back then, I don't support it now, and I'm going to stay true to my vote and my constituency back from when I was on the zoning commission, where I absolutely thought this was the wrong project for that area. There were many issues with it, from the density to the parking to the traffic, and this is just one more approval for this apartment building that I can't support.
Okay, thank you for the information. Based on that, Madam Chairman, I would move for reconsideration.
Second.
Okay. Reconsideration.
Call the vote.
Debatable.
Madam Chair, the motion for reconsideration would have to come from a person who voted on the prevailing side.
I'm sorry, voted.
Correct.
Yeah, Mr. Chase was not on the prevailing side of that vote, so in order for that motion to be properly made, it would have to be made by somebody who voted.
I'll make a motion for reconsideration. Thank you, Mr. Town Attorney.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Is that debatable? Or to reconsider?
No.
Town attorney. You're looking it up.
Yes, I don't believe a motion to reconsider is debatable, but I'm checking.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is either.
Does anybody want to say anything?
Tina seconded it.
Well,
I seconded it. However, I would like to make a motion to table based on the final report from the engineer.
Second.
wait. Whoa. We had a motion made and second to reconsider. Let's find out what that does.
I think motion to table trumps it, doesn't it? It was a motion to table and a second.
I don't know.
I'd like us to go together on things. We're waiting, if there was a concern regarding an engineering, well, I can't talk about why, just saying.
But there was a motion to reconsider made, and it was seconded, is that correct?
Yes. Then there was a motion to table.
I mean, I think you have to vote on the motion to reconsider first.
Okay.
I apologize, I wasn't expecting,
We have to vote on the a motion to reconsider.
Aye.
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 Chair votes yes.
Now,
I'd like to make a
All right, we're
motion to table.
reconsidering.
I'd like to make a motion to table.
Second.
unless we're still on the original vote. Aren't we still on the original vote, Alex?
well, you made a motion to reconsider it. So I guess that the matter is
The
once
original
again,
vote failed.
The motion
I'm
to
sorry,
reconsider passed. The motion to
wrote it down.
reconsider
5-4.
passed. Now the
Now
vote
there's a
is up
motion to
again,
table.
and instead of voting, I made a motion to table. It was seconded by Mr.
Seconded.
Posner, and it is tabled until we get the final report.
Table is
Madam
proper.
Chairman, question to the town attorney via yourself. Does there need to be a stated reason for a motion to table?
I don't believe there does.
Okay, because I also feel that with 3 persons missing tonight, there is some level of appropriateness in tabling the passage of this item, but I don't think we as a board want to get into the practice of tabling items of action until certain reports are done. It's my understanding that WPCA-related and stormwater and drainage reporting can sometimes take months of data gathering, and then you can go months to perhaps years of analysis before the reports are issued, and I don't think that that's a sufficient reason to hold up making a decision. I don't know if maybe John Casey can weigh in on kind of how the whole reporting process and issuance of reports works.
Well, I would, first of all, say that the report is for the entire town, so they've been working on data collection for quite some time, and they have been having some troubles getting correlation on their data, and they actually went out and did additional measurements to derive a proper flow for their modeling. So they anticipate having a report for you next meeting. It wouldn't be the final report. So the final report could take months. So, and I would also suggest the applicant is here, so you might be interested in hearing from them before you make a decision.
We have a motion to table.
There's a motion to table on the floor. It needs to be voted on.
Madam Speaker, I would ask the proponent to
Was it seconded? I'm sorry.
withdraw that motion to table and at least give the individual who has an interest in this property opportunity to address us. I have not heard from him.
I'm happy to withdraw my initial motion. I don't know if Mr. Posner's happy to withdraw his second.
Was the
We'll allow
second withdrawn? Okay.
I'll withdraw the second.
We'll withdraw the motion.
All right, would the gentleman who represents this development, please?
Members of the authority, my name is Paul Sobel. I represent the developer Ferry Boulevard Plaza, LLC. We came to a plan meeting. I think our engineer went to a meeting to ascertain what permits are necessary to go forward with the project. For whatever reason, we didn't realize that we would have to come before the WPCA. We filed our zoning application in September 2015. At that point in time, Mr. Lorenzen circulated the application to all of the departments of Public Works, Engineering, Fire Marshal, Police, everyone. We were prepared to go forward with the application in November of 2015. I checked the zoning file to see what reports came back from the various boards and commissions. And Mr. Lorenzen wrote a report, and he said that there was no report, no comments from Public Works and no comments from Engineering. I addressed all of the comments that were made for the Planning and Zoning meeting. We were then asked as the developer to hold off on our application because the makeup of the Planning and Zoning Commission had changed as a result of the election, and if we went forward with our public hearing when it was scheduled in November, a different set of commissioners would be seated when it came time to decide the application. So we withdrew the application at the request of the town, and we refiled the application in December of that year. It was scheduled for a public hearing in January of 2016. I checked with zoning to ascertain whether or not there were any additional comments in the file. I was told not. Come to discover later, I believe there might have been, Mr. Casey might have put a memo in the file concerning possibility of WPCA approval. I did a loan opinion letter fairly recently. I called engineering when I was doing the opinion letter to ascertain whether or not anything was needed for the sewer. I unfortunately didn't write down the person who I spoke with. I spoke with somebody in engineering, and I was told all that was needed was to come in for a sewer permit. And now we're before you. We were asked to provide flow information to Mr. Casey. We provided flow information, and Mr. Casey ran it by the consultant that he just mentioned. The pipe behind the building is what we would be tying into. It's a 48-inch pipe. It's the Housatonic interceptor, I believe. And there were studies done by there was studies done, I think, in conjunction with the 2001 report for earthworks. It was a preliminary design. I guess they did studies of the collection system, and those studies showed the capacity in the 48-inch pipe behind Ferry Boulevard to be very large and have a large amount of unused capacity. And Mr. Casey indicated that the collection system, the pipe behind Ferry Boulevard, has sufficient capacity to handle the flow. We are now, we closed our construction loan. We're about to commence construction, and I would respectfully request that the Water Pollution Control Authority approve the connection. I would also note that the authority approved the connection for the 44-unit project that was recently approved and the 1111 Stratford Avenue project.
Madam Chairman?
Point of order.
Thank you. Just a minute. I just want to comment on one thing. Thank you, sir. I think we have to think we are not the zoning board. We just have to respond to the facts about a sewer connection. That's all I'm going to comment about it.
I understand. I just explained how I got here at this point in time.
Point of order.
Anybody?
We're not discussing 1111 Stratford Avenue.
No,
We're not
I understand
discussing-
that. He just happened to mention that. He's talking about
But one has nothing to do with the
335
other.
Boulevard. Trust me, I hardly agree with you, and I didn't like what zoning did, but that's irrelevant. It's done, and I think we just have to respond to the sewer connection request.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman, through you to Mr. Casey, the pipe that the attorney mentioned, is that the same pipe that drains Stratford Center, which is below sea level?
No, Stratford Center actually goes down Main Street, and eventually ends up, at the treatment plant, and then this pipe goes down Ferry Boulevard to Elm Street.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. There's a culvert behind our building
No, yeah, let's separate stormwater
from
the
sewage.
sanitary. Yeah,
So will this affect drainage in Stratford Center?
no, it is the same. The Stratford Center storm system is the Tanner's Brook, and that ends up at Ferry Creek, right at this property. And Ferry Creek is coming, from the north, so they both
Right.
merge at that location. And this development, this site is 100% paved now, so it's going to be you know, somewhat less paved when it's over. So the amount of stormwater coming off the site is the same or less. And the quality is actually be better because they're designing some stormwater quality treatment to it. So the stormwater quality and quantity is going to be better than it is today.
Okay. You can understand my concern. We don't want any more flooding down there.
Madam Chair, question for Mr. Casey. Can you define somewhat less paved? Because I sat on the zoning commission, and I don't see how that property is going to be somewhat less paved.
I know I don't recall, it was a year ago when we looked at it last, but there is, the stormwater from the pavement goes to a bioswale, I believe. But I do think we're getting off topic because the stormwater is not the issue before this body. But there is a treatment facility that they added to the stormwater system that currently does not exist.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Manis?
I have a concern. Well, we were talking about the report, and I agree with Mr. Lum, there's people not here. My bigger concern is that there's a number of projects happening in that area, and, you know, the two were mentioned on record that are nearby, and there's other things happening. My question is to Mr. Casey is that are each project, as you look at it in isolation, you know, as they're coming up, does it impact other projects moving forward? So like this adds to the capacity in that area. And then we're looking at across the street, there's going to be more, and then possibly down the road, there'll be more. So is that taken into, because zoning is moving forward with approvals as time goes on. You know what I mean? So are we going to get to a point where, like, does it just come here and that's when you make the decision if we have the capacity or not? Are we making people go through the motions for 2 years and then all of a sudden we're going to tell them, oh yeah, by the way, there's no capacity?
So that's the reason why we're doing our bigger picture study, because over time you will have, you know, more and more and more approvals, you know, developments and contributions to the system. So there would be, you know, over time an increase in the you know, a substantial increase in the amount of flow that we get. Now remember, we just developed the treatment plan, we just designed the treatment plan, we did facility plan in 2001. So we built capacity into the system when we built it. That's why I'm more concerned with the trunk sewers that individually, you know, and each development would be contributing to a certain pipe that it's going to discharge to. And we want to make sure that those localized sewers have the capacity. And in this case, it's a major trunk sewer, and it has sufficient capacity to accept the flow.
And you're still unsure about that until the final project comes through, correct?
I'm not unsure. That's what I'm saying. This development will not have a significant impact whatsoever on that pipe.
Madam
But
Chair.
we are doing the bigger picture study that will look at the whole system.
Mr. Posner?
Madam Chair, there's another potential project going to happen right down the road on Ferry Boulevard behind White Street. And it's I believe, a 3-story mixed use of apartments and retail. Are you familiar with that? That's going to be coming in front of zoning?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Now, is that going to be also using the same pipe?
I believe so. There are 2 pipes. I think there's 2 pipes there, so I'm not...
Because we're talking about another large project that is, I know, coming up very soon in front of zoning. I'm not talking about the 382 Ferry Boulevard. You know which one? The one behind White Street next to the Blue Sky Diner?
Commercial property on Ferry Boulevard.
Yes.
Point of order.
It's going to be.
That's not on our agenda. I'm sorry,
Right.
Mr. Posner. It's not on our agenda. And that was part of my question.
Well, we did mention other.
mentioned other
We heard
things.
other properties, so I figured now it's open to start talking about
Is there
other
any kind of
properties.
long-range planning? That was my initial question, is we're just approving projects as we go down the line, but are we looking at,
That's part of planning. I know we're involved in it, and I'm very concerned about it. But in this particular case, okay, we withdrew the table. We did not decide to reconsider. So as far as I can see, we did.
it's up for reconsideration still?
For now,
Then I'll make a motion to table again. Roll call.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
Phil?
Down to let him speak.
Phil?
No.
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 No. Okay, table fails. Okay, now,
Madam Chairman,
I believe, oh, this gentleman wants to talk, but I believe the motions that we originally passed 5-2 stands, but go ahead. You are?
Madam Chairman, my name is Anthony Nazardo. I live at 30 Max Harbor in Stratford, and I'm one of the owners of this project. I just wanted to state a couple of things. One is that if this decision goes for another month, it would create a hardship for me and my company. This sewer connection is holding the permit. We're ready to go, and we've started remediation of the building. We've started to remove some of the asbestos that's in the mastic of the roof and on the around the windows. So this would put a 30-day, depending on when you meet, 30-day delay, which would really cause a hardship on our part. I'd appreciate if the commission would concentrate just on the flows, and I understand there's people against the zoning, but the zoning is done. This is not a function of this committee, is to punish someone because they got zoning that was approved by the town and met all the requirements of zoning. So I ask that you take a vote and hopefully you approve the project tonight.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Through the chair, if I can,
Thank
I initially voted to approve this, and I want to say that because I do take into consideration that this is the WPCA connections. But that is my concern, is the WPCA connections and the connections to those pipes and how many connections those are going to be. And yes, for this project, it's not going to impact, so Casey said, but what is the long range? What is happening in that area? There's tons of stuff happening in that area. So one small project, and then we've got two big ones. Are the two big ones gonna not happen now because we did one? You know what I'm saying? So if we've got this, are we gonna cut off our nose to spite our face because we're giving one and not the other? Like, that is what I mean by planning. If we, you know what I'm talking about? Like, if we're planning something out, like, shouldn't we know like these things are on the docket rather than try to do this and then do this and then, oh, now we can't do this one. Oops. That's what that feels like. And I don't
Madam
know
Chair?
if we talked to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tina's point is perfect. You know, cart before the horse. I just have to trust that through the process over the last couple of years of approving these properties, through planning, through zoning, through the various commissions, that consideration was given, if not through Mr. Casey, then through some other WPCA authority, that the capacity is not just sufficient, but it's also more than sufficient, and that we are going to get a completed preliminary report in another month, and that'll give us an opportunity to evaluate any further zoning approvals, let alone WPCA approvals. So thank you.
I agree with you. I am highly in favor of a town-wide plan, which we don't seem to have. It's piecemeal, piecemeal, piecemeal. I agree with you. But this particular situation, I think we have to address the fact that the zoning has approved, and the advice from Mr. Casey is that well, I don't know if it's advice, but he does say he's studied it, and it's perfectly doable. So
Motion to table to our next regular meeting.
we just voted on table and rejected it. I'm sorry.
We could table it again.
No.
It wasn't,
So, wait.
It wasn't seconded. I'm sorry.
Tina seconded
You
it.
did. I'm sorry. Second.
So roll call, yes.
No.
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 Yes.
No. Okay.
Move the question?
Madam Chair, second.
I have a question of the legal. You're not going to like this.
Well, wait
We already voted
Point
to
of
pass
order.
it
There was a
5-2. Wait a minute, wait,
Point
wait,
of
wait.
order, Madam Chairwoman. There was a move the question and a second. So to move the question.
What question?
The question.
Somebody called the question. I believe it was Mr. Can called the question.
Point of order. Are we working by simple majority or are we working by 6 votes?
That's a good question. You know, the town council can only act by resolution or ordinance, and it requires 6 votes when the town council acts. But this is the WPCA, so
Simple majority rules.
I guess I could see that argument both ways. So you guys have raised an issue that I have not encountered before.
Where's our W?
We haven't
You- I mean,
covered it
you're-
here, Mr. Attorney Flora.
Excuse me, I just want to make a comment. I believe that we voted 5-2 to pass this approval of the connection. Since then, we had reconsideration, that was taken back, table, failed, and I just say we approved it. I don't know how many more times you can... There isn't a motion on the floor.
There's a motion to reconsider. Mr. Chase's motion to
thought
reconsider
you
is still on the
withdrew it.
floor. And if I may, through the chair, to the town attorney, we have had this happen in WPCA before where there have been missing members, and it's a simple majority in WPCA, because we've passed things before.
So we need to revote
The
on the
option
original
to
motion.
reconsider passed.
Where we're at.
We're at the motion where we can vote
The
again.
calling of the question was to call the question on the original motion,
Yes.
which we should now vote on.
Yes.
Correct. Mr. Can made a motion to call the question. I believe it was seconded.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us, which means it has to go 4-3, correct? In order to pass.
Or 5-2, yeah.
If it was 5-2, it would already have passed on the original time.
It did.
But we
did.
reconsidered that.
Okay, you reconsidered it.
So do we need to vote on the calling of the question?
Yeah.
And then vote on the amendment?
Yeah.
Vote on the motion?
Call question.
Call for a vote?
Madam Chairman, just so it's clear, I think we should just revote this, so there's no question.
Okay.
We're voting to
You
call
do the motion
question.
again?
There's a motion on the floor to call the question.
That's been made and seconded.
We
So
need to vote on that
to clear
first.
the record.
Okay, call the question. All those in favor of calling
Aye.
the question?
No.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
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 Call the question?
Yes.
Okay.
The motion is for the approval of the connection request of 335 Ferry Boulevard.
Right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. I hope you think we've had enough discussion. It's the same motion. The approval.
All those in favor and move it on, Mitzi?
Yes. All those in favor?
No.
Aye.
Vote yes. Okay.
Can you announce the
It was
vote?
approved.
Announce the
Yes.
vote.
You know, can we do a roll call on that? Because
Roll call. All right.
no.
Yes.
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 Based on Mr. Casey's
6-1
recommendation.
approved. All righty then. Moving right along to the reports.
Hi, Tom.
Short as possible, Tom.
Is this working today? Yes. This month's report, I'm going to read directly off the report side of it rather than the numbers sheet. For the month of April, there were 5 violations of our discharge permit. An April 4th rain event resulted in flows to 27 million gallons per day. The plant is rated at 11.5 MGD. During this high flow, the plant lost solids as well as did most of Connecticut treatment plants in the storm's wake. The high BOD and biochemical oxygen demand and total settlable solid levels and low removal percentage recovered the following day, although the flows remained high for an extended period. Additionally, an internal recycle pump failed, which coupled with seasonal changes and high flows resulted in loss of our denitrification process, creating high nitrogen levels in our effluent. Recovery from this is still in progress. Regarding safety improvements, safety improvement recommendations, the recommended safety improvements suggested in November 28, 2016 WPCA meeting have been moved forward in the following manner. Geddes architects of Southport were brought in for design and estimates. Designs were developed for 4 of the most critical items. Cost estimates were submitted. Unfortunately, I could not locate them while writing this report. They're in a shuffled paper. Additionally, safety measures undertaken include the updating of outdated fire extinguishers. It appears that virtually all of our fire extinguishers were dated 2006. So Public Works brought someone in to go around and replace all of them for us. And we're working on enclosed space training for all of our personnel because we've got a few new personnel that require it, and most of the personnel that have had it have re-requested being trained because it's the correct thing to do. Anticipated fund requirements for repairs: UV disinfection system and the main backup generator. The high flows of April and lack of maintenance has resulted in damage and shortfalls in the UV disinfection system. $17,000 for emergency replacement parts was authorized by the mayor. Quote on additional parts required has been estimated at $150,000 to $200,000. Alternate options are being researched. The main backup generator system has a coolant leak and requires a 2-day, 60-man-hour repair, for which it'll be out of service for a minimum of 2 days. Backup power generation is required for this shutdown period. Best resolution is a $1.5 million backup generator installation. Second option would be the use of rental generators and hookup installations estimated at $153,000. The third option to use rental generators and have the WPCs and Public Works electrician install the hookups is currently under investigation also to see if we can cut that number down a little further. Current repair costs. Several issues have arisen and are being addressed. A lock nut on our rebuilt effluent pump loosened, causing a cooling line to break, the motor and bearing to heat up, and the pump to fail during the high flow event of April 4th. With Public Works assistance, we closed down the roadway and set up portable pumps to keep the plant operating. The pump has been repaired. The projected cost of this episode may exceed $20,000. The effluent tide gate also failed at this time. The tide gate still requires additional parts. We've taken it out of service. We're just operating the pumps 24/7. Primary tank number 2 cross flights have been repaired at this point. We basically placed everything in a tank because they were just decayed through the corrosive environment that they're in. Primary tank number 3 cross flights have failed at this point, and they are under repair. Parts are on order. Internal recycle pump has failed and been replaced. We're evaluating a different rebuild facility recommended by our new process control supervisor, Tom Buzel. I have worked on had these pumps worked on a couple of times in the short period that I've been in. I want to see if the issue is the repair crew. Thickener gearbox and the sweeping arms in the thickener tank failed. The equipment has been repaired at this point. That was first recommendation was a $19,000 gearbox on top of that tank. Fortunately, we took it apart. We put a couple of $1,000 gears in and saved significantly on that. Thickener sludge pumps required rebuilding and new packing. And both our wash presses at Headworks will require replacement shortly.
Thank you. I have a question about the effluent pump since that was rebuilt. Yeah. Was there any guarantee, because that was just put in, that it wouldn't fail again or loosen, causing a cooling line to break?
They did make an adjustment to it. We actually put locks on the lock nut to keep that from happening again. Part of the cost that was in there was not part of the cost in that episode was not theirs. It was our peripheral stuff, as in we paid them to install the pumps, and we used our own electricians to wire the motor. And there's a particular method to sealing up high voltage wires such as, and it turns out that very few people have been trained in that. And the proper method of that, it's basically not trained in the schools. Basically, we're supposed to be wrapped with, I believe, an acrylic coating, and then a rubber tape wrap, and then a vinyl wrap on the outside. And that method was not used. These are bolted together connections. And the result was that while it was heating up, they shorted across. So we own that part of the repair.
Through the chair.
I just want to make one more comment. I think we have to appreciate that a lot of our parts are getting to be 8 to 10 years old. I'm assuming everything was new when it was changed over and updated, more or less. And so we can expect a lot of things to be breaking down or needing replacement. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hyde, Mr. Chase? Oh,
I think Mr. Khan had one first.
okay,
No.
Mr. Khan.
Thank you.
I should look to my right.
A couple of quick questions, please, Tom. Mentioned nitrogen levels. Maybe can you say whether it's been solved and what was the cause of the escalation?
Denitrification process, basically what we do is we aerate the tanks. Sort of like in a fish tank, there's an aerator you put in, blow bubbles in, that excites the bacteria. It breaks the ammonia down into nitrates and nitrites. We then have an internal pipe pump that sends the mixed liquors back to the anoxic zone where there isn't any air pressed in. The bugs that are the bacteria that are in this tank convert the nitrates and the nitrites to a nitrogen gas, and they release it into the atmosphere. Our atmosphere being 85% nitrogen. That's how we get our actual nitrogen removal. Because a couple of things happened during a high flow. We had to turn off our mixers. We had to turn down our internal recycle pumps. We had to bring everything down to a much lower rate to keep solids from going out into the sound. When we turned them back up, that pump didn't accelerate. It didn't go back on, although the instruments indicated that it had. So it took us a period of time to locate that issue. From the time that we lost it, when we discovered that, at that point we were letting go in the upper 7s, low 800 pounds per day. Our permit is for 356. We have now brought that down. It takes approximately a week to get the episode, to get the information through an outside test. As of last Friday, we were down into the 500 range, I believe. We were halfway down, halfway back, halfway to where we need to be to meet permit at the end of the year. We're headed back.
Thank you, Tom. Through the chair, what I'd like to request from Tom is it's a very complex system, a lot of machinery. Things are going to, fail before you expect. But if we had a report that would say this was an unexpected failure versus this was a predicted failure that we just didn't get around to preventive maintenance in time, is that a fair way of... Something could happen as an emergency. A bolt could break unexpectedly, or a bolt could break because it was expected to be replaced and we didn't replace it within its life cycle. Is it possible to segregate our maintenance activities or our for example, the need for a backup generator, into those that were anticipated, we didn't get around to it in time, through no fault of your own, just resources, versus those that were unexpected?
To a degree, yes. To a degree, no. Much of this plant is 10 years old and has been operating in a caustic environment. B, I don't know exactly which pieces were replaced 10 years ago and which pieces were not. C, to be honest with you, I don't want to sit up here every week and badmouth people in the past. I would rather report upon what we can do to resolve it.
And Tom, I guess my objective of the question is to say, by spending more today eventually we're going to get ahead of the curve in regards to maintenance. We're going to
Absolutely.
And that investment of time today, the return on that investment of time will be significant in terms of avoiding, maybe it's broken nuts or a machinery that didn't turn on in time because maybe its sensor or whatever the cause might have been was corroded and it didn't show up in the digital readouts. So let's not think of it as a going backwards. Let's try and think of it as a go forward, that if I change the oil in my vehicle or if I check my lawnmower before I pull the cord, I may prevent a seizure of the engine because I'm just taking that extra 30 seconds to make sure the oil's at the right level. So I'm looking for some, not reward, but confirmation that our caution and our attentiveness is avoiding or it's minimizing the risks going forward. Not sure the right other way to phrase it, but it'd be a nice observation for us that we knew that the crews were prioritizing correctly and doing things that not only fix problems today, but we're also avoiding other problems and more catastrophic incidents. Trying to add another value to the work that you're doing. And just a thought, I'll leave it as a thought, and thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Mr. Chase.
Two quick questions. When you talk about effluent tide gate, can you just tell, I'm not sure I understand what
Absolutely. We have a tide gate that opens on hydraulics. Hydraulics, screw. Either way, mechanically opens. Based upon the tide level, as the river comes up, the tide gets too high where the water will start flowing into the plant. So it will mechanically close, a large gate, 3 feet, 4 feet wide. It allows the effluent flow, the outflow from our plant, to go out at no cost for about 4 hours at a time, twice a day. The other 8 hours is the tide coming in, it closes down, and the tide going back out, and then we've got a 4 to 5 hour period where...
I understand. Does someone from the state or federal government, EPA, do they come in and test what's flowing out into the river?
We are testing our water on a daily basis.
Okay.
And the effluent water is the same water that we're pumping out. It's after it's gone through all of our processes. It's gone through our UV stabilization, and it's just running. It actually runs the length of the plant to where the old chlorine contact tanks were.
I just want to, so we do test it
Yes.
every day, you just said. Okay, I was just curious. Last question I have is, do you have an estimate on our nitrogen credits for this fiscal year?
For 2018 that we're in?
Are we in, well, let me ask you this. When we sell our nitrogen credits, is it done on the fiscal year or calendar year?
Calendar year.
Okay.
Okay, excuse me. You're correct. So you're asking for 2017?
Yes.
No, I do not.
Okay. Have we sold the nitrogen credits for 2016?
Yes.
Is that in the current fiscal year budget or anticipated for the next fiscal year budget?
I do not know the answer to that.
Should be
Does the
this year.
chairman know the answer to that?
Yeah, the state of Connecticut sent a note, letter, whatever, to the town of Stratford that they were transferring $193,000 for the purpose of our nitrogen credits. It was 193 plus.
But that was for fiscal,
That
that
was-
was for.
that was
calendar
last
two-
August, so-
2015.
No, that was 2016.
I've got 2015.
Well, I should have the letter, but the letter came in August and stated that they were transferring the money in August of 2016. Yes.
Okay, so does that mean we'll get money for the August of 2017?
I don't know. It differs each year.
But you expect.
So you're talking about next year?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at this, I've got $193,816 for 2015. You're saying it's 2016, so I was just curious, do we expect to get any nitrogen credits in for the next year?
Well, we'd have to ask Mr. Hyde. In general, except for the excessive rain and some of the breakdowns you had in April, are you seeing a good figure for nitrogen credits for this year?
Each year, the number is reduced some because more people become effective at removing nitrogen. Therefore, there's less people buying credits, less people selling credits, less plants. So our reduction this year for 2016, we got, I believe, $103,000 in change. For 2017, I haven't looked at that at all.
I'll have to get that letter because they stated that they sent it to Stratford, and that was last August, which was actually the 2017 year, so to speak, but after the fact that we set the budget.
Okay.
I do. Yes. Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Hyde?
No, but a question related. The nitrogen credits are deposited in the general fund when they're received?
Oh.
Oh,
I don't know where they go.
okay.
I have to ask the finance person. They should come to the WPC.
Coming to the town goes to the general fund first.
Yeah, but then they have to split it out to either the sewer, one of the sewer funds. Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Mr. Casey has a report.
We already talked about the inflow and infiltration study. The 6 pump stations rehabilitation project, the committee had, the authority had approved that last month, but we did send that to DEP for their comment, and we're waiting for their final comments before we execute that contract. And then the Peck's Mill Pump Station Safety Improvement Project is moving along. The contractor is making preparation for accepting the equipment that is on order, and when the equipment comes in, he'll be able to set it in place and then start to utilize the benefits of the new improvements. So not a whole lot to report on that at this time, and that's all I have for report, although I have to comment on item number 4.
We can stop there if you'd like and take the slip lining bid. Okay, question 4, and please strike A. We need an approval of the slip lining bid. It came under the amount which was appropriated. A previous council appropriated $950,000 to achieve this. And Mr. Casey decided to add the access road and thought it was going to be higher, but instead it came in at $646,350 as in situ form technologies had the low bid. If you have a question about slip lining, maybe Mr. Casey could tell people what it is.
Yeah, so we're recommending the low bidder. I would note that we also included in the bid some stormwater work because we wanted to utilize the efficiency of the bid. And we had some stormwaters that we also wanted to line, so the cost for the sanitary, we're looking to budget $600,000, and then we're also going to pay for some other stormwater work out of our stormwater other projects. So although the bid is $646, we would expect that the sanitary sewer part of it would be $600.
I'm looking for a motion to approve the bid for the sewer lining project.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Greg?
Mr. Casey, the original bid of approval, let's say, of $950,000, was that just for sewer?
Yes.
And now we have a new bid that includes some storm and the same amount of sewer, and the sewer portion of that is $640,000.
No, the total package was $646,000.
That's the new bid. Would you be able to allocate which portion of that 640 may be due to the sewer versus the storm?
Yeah, I think the sewer will be $600,000 and the storm will be $46,000.
You said that. Thank you.
Are there any?
I move the question.
Mr. Chase? Question moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Was there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so
Madam
the
Chair,
question
call
is...
for a vote on the motion.
Pardon?
We need to call for a vote on the motion.
Yes. Motion is to accept the bid, number 2017-17, which was in situ form technologies.
All those in favor?
Any discussion?
It's already been moved and seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Unanimous.
Okay,
made a good
motion
argument, Mr.
passed
Casey.
unanimously. We still have several more points
No, we don't.
from Mr. Casey's report.
I ran through those already, so unless there's any questions.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
There you go.
Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I didn't even
Very
ask.
convincing, Mr. Casey. Thank you.